Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a snapshot of the wild, chaotic, and frankly, incredibly powerful world of AI as it stands in mid-2025. We're going to cut right through the noise to really understand the money, the hype, the hidden consequences, and the high-stakes battle for what comes next. Okay, so let's just dive right in by looking at the sheer scale of this AI boom. And you know, calling it a modern-day gold rush is probably the only way to do it justice. The numbers involved here, they're just staggering.
Get this. In just the last 6 months, the enterprise market for large language model APIs, the basic engines that make all this AI stuff work, has more than doubled. It's exploded into an $8.4 billion industry. This isn't just about tinkering in a lab anymore. Companies are pushing AI out of the R&D phase and into real live production.
And to power this whole thing, the infrastructure being built is on a scale that's, well, it's kind of mind-bending. Take a look at OpenAI's Stargate project over Norway. This one single facility is being designed to house 100,000 of NVIDIA's most powerful GPUs. I mean, that is just an immense concentration of computing power in one spot.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how all this spending has completely reshuffled the deck. Anthropic has actually jumped past the early leader, OpenAI, when it comes to enterprise use. So why? Why the big shift? Well, it turns out that code generation has become AI's first true killer app, and developers have been flocking to Anthropic's models for it.
But okay, so you've got this tidal wave of investment. Underneath all that, though, a different story is starting to emerge. It's one where the hype itself might be the real product. And that's creating a pretty dangerous gap between what's promised and what's actually real.
And it's a shift that tech writer Mikkel Wozniak really nailed. He points out that for a lot of these big, publicly traded tech companies, the primary goal seems to have changed. It's less about serving you, the customer, and a whole lot more about satisfying stockholders. And in that game, hype is the fuel that just keeps that stock price climbing.
And this leads to a phenomenon that the author Cory Doctorow has let's just say a very memorable name for: enshittification. The idea is that platforms get just good enough to hook you in, and then, because it's hard to leave, the quality of the service just slowly degrades over time, all in the pursuit of more profit. So this is where that focus on hype over substance starts to create some real dangers. For developers, AI can be an incredible force multiplier for sure. But, and this is a huge but, only if you're already an expert in the tools you're using. If you're not, it becomes a crutch, and it starts spitting out code that looks professional but is actually riddled with subtle, really dangerous flaws.
So here's the bottom line. Without that deep expertise, a developer has absolutely no way of knowing if the AI is handing them a brilliant solution or a ticking time bomb. You're basically just trusting the output of a machine that is, by its very nature, designed to be plausible, not necessarily to be correct.
And look, this disconnect between the hype and what's really happening, it's not just some theoretical problem. It's having profound and, in many cases, really damaging consequences for actual people and even entire communities. I mean, take the story of this 26-year-old guy, Kyle. He discovered that AI's ability to create hyper-specific, totally surreal pornographic content, stuff that's literally impossible in real life, it fed directly into his compulsive behaviors. It basically carved out this powerful and really addictive neural pathway in his brain.
And Kyle's story really shines a light on a much broader concern that therapists are seeing. They're warning that as AI gets better and better at simulating intimacy, it creates this kind of faux intimacy. It's always available, it's perfectly tailored to you, and it could make messy, complicated, real-world relationships start to feel a lot less satisfying by comparison, which just deepens social isolation.
This disruption isn't just personal, though. It's becoming systemic. In the world of indie video games, we're seeing this powerful and often totally invisible censorship chain at work. So here's how it goes. It starts with an activist group. They put pressure on the big financial companies, which then forces platforms to remove thousands of perfectly legal games, just so they don't lose their ability to process payments.
Yep, there's a name for this tactic. It's called financial censorship. And what it does is it completely sidesteps any debate about free expression or what a platform's own rules are. It just lets a tiny handful of powerful financial gatekeepers effectively decide what art and what entertainment is even allowed to exist online.
All right, so this is where all those threads start to come together. You've got the hype, you've got the hidden costs, you've got the real-world human impact, and it's all fueling this massive, high-stakes battle for the future of technology, from the halls of power all the way to the stock market.
Unsurprisingly, all this tension has just exploded in Washington, D.C. On one hand, you have the Trump campaign framing AI as this race against China that demands deregulation, while also focusing on fighting what they see as woke bias in AI. On the other hand, the Biden administration has taken a much more skeptical stance, ramping up investigations into big tech. The result? AI isn't just a tech issue anymore, it's a central political battleground.
To really get a handle on this hype cycle, it is fascinating to look at a cautionary tale from a totally different world, the fine art market. The way the art market was financialized back in the 2000s, it looks a lot like the AI hype cycle today. In both cases, they were promoted as a hot new asset class, fueled by people flipping things for a quick profit, with a value that was often totally disconnected from any real tangible utility.
Just listen to what veteran collector Shane Ackroyd says about it. He explains that the art market bubble popped for most investors because, well, art's value is subjective and it's incredibly volatile. It's just a bad investment if you're only chasing returns. The parallels to the AI market, where so much of the value is based on future promises, they're pretty hard to ignore.
And so that leaves us with the one central defining question of this entire AI moment. With so much focus on stock prices and future hype, instead of present-day value, are we really building the next foundational layer of technology, or are we just inflating the next spectacular bubble? The answer to that? Well, it's going to shape our world for the next decade.